Hi everybody, Beth here from Access Paranormal for this week's I Want to Know. Yes, I am back from Scarefest and raring to go. Had a fabulous time. The talk went really well. I even had one person turn up just to hear my accent, so I felt very special. So it was a really, really great time. And yeah, also good to be back as well. Back into the swing of things as well here at Access Paranormal headquarters. Now we're talking all about debunking here. Now, people who know and have followed me for a little while will know that I'm not a big fan of that choice of word. Debunking actually comes from the terminology of bunco, which means to be fraudulent. And so when we and it sucks because, like, you know, being paranormal investigators, you know, we use the term quite a lot, and you know, because it's commonly says, you know, I'm trying to find a reasonable explanation as to why something happened, but in fact we're actually saying what's happened's actually caused by fraudulent means, and I'm going to find it out. So that's why I kind of really err on the caution of using it. I do have a couple of courses that I do have at the moment that actually uses the word debunking, because I created it at the time when it was okay. Hey Kat, hey Roz, hey Kaz. Oh yeah, PAE, that's exactly it, Kaz. So I use the term PAE. I know it sounds a bit weird, but in Australia we always love to round everything up. We're a little lazy like that. And it means possible alternative explanation. So it's a better way of saying I'm trying to find another reason why this could have actually have happened. So you'll hear me talk a little bit about that as we go through this particular topic tonight. As I said, it is a massive, massive topic. I know a couple of people were concerned, particularly Kat and Nate, about the fact that how would I be able to cover such a topic like this in a smallish sort of 10-15 minute video. But it's really only a couple of tips about how to actually look at being able to find your PAE, your possible alternative explanation, when you're actually out investigating. It can be residential and private, as well as being on a public location as well. So it's I have been able to condense it. It was difficult, but we will get stuck into it. Again, be sure to use the comment section here on Facebook as well as on YouTube about your thoughts, if you've got any tips as well. If you agree with the information I'm talking about and you think, yeah, that's great, or some of you are like, oh, it actually wouldn't really work for me and my team, we work very differently, then by all means let me know. It's spot on with the terminology. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, girlfriend. All right, so we'll get stuck into it. Tip number one. The first thing I would do is, if something has happened, either you've experienced it or someone else has told you about their experience, I put it into one of 8 different categories. And it may sound a bit full on, but bear with me. The categories I've got them, and depends on how you work. You can be as detailed as you want, or you can be as relaxed and sort of simplified as you want. But for me, I find having it in these certain categories is probably the easiest, I would say. It's in between as such. So we've got your visual phenomena. So what happened? Did you actually see it, or did the person see it? Audible, was it something that was heard? Moving objects. I don't usually like to term it as poltergeist, because that's kind of confirming the fact that it is possibly paranormal already without even starting. Is it about emotions? So is it someone got really, really emotional, an emotion that was just not fitting at the time? Were there any temperature changes as well? So there's some serious temperature rising or also dropping as well. If there were any animals affected at the time too. I know sometimes not a lot of people use or implement the fact of effects that animals may have in an environment, but I think it's interesting to note. We're not saying anything's happening yet, we're just sussing it out. And also vivid dreams. Now, I normally wouldn't put vivid dreams in because it's really difficult, because it's personal experiences that are very hard to try and decipher, because you are going on someone's experience of that. A lot of what I've spoken about as well just then kind of goes into that category too. But I think it's important, just in case, you know, we're gathering information. We still don't know what's going on yet. So it's important to find out whether or not, when someone's had a vivid dream, if it's really intense. Again, you know, we most of us know about sleep paralysis. It could be anything, but it's important to note. So they're the kind of 8 categories I have. So if something happens, they don't, you know, if it does, you know, if you've seen something move off a table, then it's not just going to be something that you've seen. It's probably something that you've heard. So it'll be visual and audible, and moving objects. So you can even put it into, you know, have 3 categories as a part of it. So that's how I would do it. And this is just a way to be able to figure out what's going on. So that's the first tip I would say, is actually finding a category or a bunch of categories to actually put that experience into at first. Hi, Vicky. Good to see you, lovely. So the second tip I would say is actually whether or not it was something that was witnessed internally or externally. Now that probably sounds a little bit weird, but it's basically the difference between something that we've picked up psychologically or something that's happened in our environment. Now this gets a little bit more difficult. So say for instance, if it was a temperature change, a really strong temperature change, or if an animal was behaving differently, or if you had seen an object move, I would say that's environmental. So I go, okay, that's more of an environmental thing. Say for instance, it's something that you've seen or you've heard. Or if it's something that you've had a vivid dream about and it's been really, really intense, then that probably will fall into more likely the psychological side. And the reason why this is a good tip to have is that not only have you found what the type of experience it is, then you've got to figure out where it sits. So where it would have come from. Has it been something that's happened in the environment? Has it been something that's happened from something that we've picked up from seeing and witnessing as a person, which is psychological. Oh, hi, Rosa. Oh, good to see you, lovely. So those are the different, that's a way to be able to break it down. And another good reason why to break it down, whether it's something that's happened in an environment or something psychologically, is that when it comes to actually trying to recreate it, to see whether or not it's something that can be recreated and can be explained, you kind of know where you're starting. So if it's an internal thing where it's more from a psychological perspective, okay, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. But then, of course, if it's something that's environmental, that's going to be a little easier for you to try and recreate to see whether or not could have been something that was possibly paranormal or not. Tip number 3 is when it happened and how often did it happen. So when it happened, so was it during the morning? Was it during the evening? Did it happen as the sun was going down? Did it happen as the sun was going up? We know that often when we do investigations, they can be over a long period of time, and it can be between day and night. The temperature does change vastly. It doesn't matter if it's summer or winter. The building creaks and cracks and all sorts of things to keep in mind. So, when during the day did it happen? And of course, what's equally as important to that is how often did it happen? So has it happened twice in 3 minutes, or did it happen one time and then towards the end of the investigation happened again? Whatever it was, whether it was someone seeing a possible apparition or anything like that, is there a frequency to this? Is there a pattern to this? So that's an equally as important thing to note as well, because then you start to break it away again. Okay, so we're looking at it's environmental, it's happened repeatedly twice, once an hour, and it was the fact that someone had heard knocking next door in the bathroom. Okay, so now we're starting to break it down. We've got it into our categories. It's actually looking more like it's an environmental situation, less likely to be something possibly paranormal. So you start to break it down into those categories as well. So it gives you a little bit of an idea, a couple of tips here and there. Yeah, repetition. Yep, that's right, Kat. Finding patterns. It's all key. Exactly. So patterns is a very, very key thing, because technically, if it's possibly paranormal, it's more than likely going to be spontaneous. Not always, but more than likely will be something that's sporadic. And that's why it's so difficult when you're trying to recreate anything or try and figure something out that's possibly paranormal, because it kind of goes where it wants and does what it wants. So, but that's a big clue there. There's a massive, massive clue there. But if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about what else to do after this, so once you put it into those categories, if you're actually wanting to take it to the next step as well, I've got I'll post a link about next stages of what you can do afterwards, and also with that you can actually get a form that I've actually created that you can actually print out and take out on location as well. So if something does happen, and I get caught up in the moment, I still get caught up in the moment. Even as I said, investigating Bobby Mackey's, I'm like, it's like a deer in the headlights. If something's to happen, all this information I'm talking to you about right now goes right out the window. So having a form can actually be really handy. Doesn't mean you're actually nerdy as anything, but it actually can be really handy to have, because then you're actually able to note down at the time. You can focus on what it is, have a bit of a discussion on it as well. And then actually keep a record of it too, which is really, really important, because if something like that happens again, you've got a record of what happened the first time as well. Hi, Charmaine. It's good to see you, sweetness. So there's a couple of things. So I will post the link to that as well. If those who are too eager to go and find the link after I've gone live right now, you can actually go onto the homepage of accessparanormal.com, which is where the link to the phenomena analysis email course is, which explains more about what I've just spoken about tonight as well. So by all means, as I said, use the comment section below. I'd love to know your thoughts. See if, if there's things that you do, ideas that you have, ways in which you actually pull it apart. I know a lot of teams, when something does happen, are usually the first to actually go along and actually pull apart the experience. So they'll actually go and physically try and find where the noise came from, where the possible apparition was seen, literally within seconds of it actually happening, which is really, really good, because that's the best time to do it. So, but of course, afterwards, if you want to write down anything that's actually happened in a format, and to be able to keep it on record as well on that particular location. So do take care, everybody. I will post that link as well. And for those who are watching the replay, thank you so much as well. So excited to be back and in the land of the living. Not that the USA wasn't the living, and excited that Halloween is almost a month away as well at this time of the recording too. So do take care, everybody, and let me know your thoughts. Take care.